All right. Welcome, everybody. Saturday sermons in the house, Element Free Church. We are very excited this week to have Alida, the lovely Miss Alida, who I was fortunate enough to meet. It's been a couple years now anyway, right?
Yeah.
And instantly clicked with Alida. Come to find out that, you know, she and I have some pretty serious overlapping astrology, which, you know, I mean, I think it's my moon is right on your ascendant or something like that. And then not surprisingly, right, because that's so moon is like, you know, motherhood, themes of motherhood and childhood. And Alida, you know, almost very soon after we met, started doing this type of work, this ancestral healing work and family constellations. And she was like, we need to do this. And I was like, yeah, we really do. And I think, you know, I mean, not to say that you wouldn't have been effective anyway, but it definitely hit when we did our session, it hit really hard. And I think a lot of that has to do with our own energetic connection to each other. So I will shut up because Alida is a wealth of knowledge and you definitely want to hear what she has to say. So the floor is yours, my dear.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Alida, but my nickname is Ali, if you cannot pronounce my name. So I'm going to talk about ancestral healing today. And ancestral healing, it means not only to see the past, is to see the present. Because if you think now what is been your issue over time, you will repeat the same issue so you can stay on the same dynamic that you have created. And you create these dynamics or these thoughts or these patterns based on the experience that you had over your childhood, the experience that your mother had when she was pregnant, or how was your conception, in the experience from past members on your family. Let's say our grandparents, great-grandparents. You usually go 3-4 generations up above you. And what happened is, like, when we struggle with something or one of our ancestors struggle, the balance on the family, you create an imbalance, right? And you have 3 orders on your family. The first order is like every member belongs equally to the family. So if I ask you now, on my family, there was someone who abandoned, let's say my father abandoned me. So I will ask you, do you think that this father still belongs to the family tree, to the family members? And most people will say, like, no, how would you want this father who was such a bad person to still belong? But actually, they still belong. If someone committed some type of abuse, they still belong. If I lost a child and it was very, very early in age, they still belong. So everyone, that's the first rule. Everyone belongs equally, no matter what. The second rule is that whoever comes first is in first place. And this one is very interesting because now I have a husband, right? But should I have forget about my ex-partners? Or if I will ask you, if you will see one of your ex-partners, will you say like, hi, how are you? So nice to see you. Or you will say like, this person, I don't like him or don't like her. Because we have to see to our ex-partners and the ex-partners of, in this case, for example, for me, from my husband, with kindness and knowing that they were first. And this happened also with our siblings. So if my mom was pregnant and she lost a baby, I'm always going to be the second one, even though I'm the one who is still alive. And in that sense, and this is going to sound a little bit crazy, our parents always know better than us because they are older than us. Just for that fact, they will know better. They have lived longer than us. Even if I question the way that they act or the way that they do things in life. So that's the second rule. Whoever comes first is first in place. And the third rule is that each member of the family needs to carry with their own faith. And this is, at least for me as a mom, is hard because I want to tell my daughter what to do sometimes or how to think. But if someone don't ask you for help, I won't provide. So I keep going, right?
Yeah. Sorry, somebody just came in.
So, so let's say like I am doing something and Jessica thinks that what I'm doing is wrong, but I didn't ask her. I didn't ask Jessica, can you help me with this? And Jessica comes and said like, Alida, you know what? I think that the way to do it is this way because in the past I saw this person do it this way, but I didn't ask. So just by the fact that I'm providing help, trying to provide help to someone who didn't ask me, I create this imbalance because there has to be this perfect I give and I receive in every single relationship with our kids, with our parents, with our partner. And when we have an imbalance on our family system, somehow some members needs to restore that balance and you create symptoms. And that's when you have a physical symptom, you have to think what happened a week, 2 weeks before I spike up this symptom, or what happened, who else on my family system had the same symptom. So some people say like, on my family, we all have diabetes. So that's telling you something, right? Why all the family members have diabetes. In the case of my family, on my maternal lineage, somehow we couldn't have baby boys, or you will have a spontaneous miscarriage of a baby boy, or the baby boy will be born and will die very early. And then I had to go back in time and see what happened. And what happened is that my great-grandmother was pregnant with my grandmother, and the husband needed to go and sell something away from the house. And he was very abusive, and he died. So the connection between the relationship with a man and being pregnant of a man created this pattern over and over the time, and as on your subconscious mind. We weren't aware. And ancestral healing brings you that chance because once you see the patterns that you've been repeating, you can say some healing statements, do some soul movements. We call them soul movements that are very simple, are basically words that can reestablish that balance on your family. The other thing that you have to pay attention is to the names. So, for example, my name is Alida. My mom's name is Alida. So just by the fact that we carry the same names, I will carry 90% with her own issues, with her weight. I will try to repeat. But also you will see the root of the names. So if I have Jessica and I have Yesenia, it's just Jess. But it's not also with your first name. It's also with your middle name. So that's what is not very good to have, to repeat names on the family. Sometimes they do that, at least on my culture, we try to repeat a lot of names. I don't know why, but it's making it harder. Actually, my name, I don't have a name. My name is Alida, my mom's name. And my middle name is, the second name that I have is Antoinette. That is my older sister's name. So then you see how much you are carrying, and then you put together the connections. Like, so when my mom was 16 and I start having these, let's say, issues in my reproductive system, my mom, did she have the same issues? And there are ways that you can find that information, even if your mom is not alive. The other thing are the dates. the dates, your birthday, the days that someone died, if there were main important dates on your family, like accidents, when did you get married, when did you start a new job, you will see this link. So let's say we have a link between these months, March, June, September, and December. So the things that happen on this line, birth dates, or all the other dates that I just mentioned, are already linked. And the ones that are more linked are the ones that has 6 months. So June and December and March and September, right? But if I was born, let's say in January, and my mother was born also in January, and my grandmother was born in July, let's say we have January and July, those 6 months, there is also a link because you have another row, right? You have January and the rows below and then in the middle. But you also need to pay attention to the conception. So for example, my birthday is in March and my conception has to be 9 months before, right? So those are another dates that you have to pay attention because sometimes you have the same date of conception than your mother-in-law, right? And you don't get along with the mother-in-law, right? Those are another things that you have to see. So coming back to the rules, the 3 bases on family constellation or ancestral healing, if I ask you now, and that's what I do in a session, what is your main issue? What is the issue that you have? And if someone wants to share, I'm welcome to listen, but I'm gonna tell you what was my issue up until I was 31. My issue was this. My issue was like, my dad never loved me enough. So if I ask you, when I was 30 years old, if I will tell you, my issue is that my dad never loved me enough, when did you think that I created this statement? Did I create it when I was 30? Or did I create it when I was maybe 6 or 7? Probably when I was
as a
30.
young, right?
Yes, but that's another key. Because if I created a statement between 6, 7, let's say since I was born up until 7, 10 years old, probably that statement is not mine. Probably that statement, it's my mom's energy, right? Because out of love, if I see my mom crying, even if I don't see her, if I just sense her energy because we are sharing the same energetic field, right? If I just sense my mom's energy, she's upset, she's sad, I will take it with me and I'm gonna say, Mom, you don't carry with this. I will carry it for you. And over my life, I will keep saying that up until I see it. I will say like, my husband doesn't love me enough. My mom doesn't love me enough. My friends, that they don't love me enough. And I will try to create everything based on this statement. My life, my eyes will see through that statement, everything. So when I say, for example, right, maybe you have said this, I have said it to my husband, hey, you're not paying attention what I'm saying. I'm talking and talking, you just don't pay attention. You are not giving me attention. I haven't created that statement now that I'm 42. This was before, and probably that was before my conception also. Maybe my grandparents or my grandmother, my great-grandparents, they said the same. Now, if you see back in time, things were different, right? You didn't have a cell phone or internet or calls or Facebook or something like that, right? But there were ways that they will need to have some type of communication. There was always communication, like non-verbal communication and verbal communication. And you carry that. And this is the statement that we use in constellations, is out of love. Because everything that you suffer for and everything that you want to do is out of love. Because I want love, or because I didn't have enough love. When up until I was 31, I will say this about my dad, because I will just be stuck in what I thought that he did wrong. What he did wrong for me up until that point, it was like he never showed up for anything related to my school. He never went to my ceremony in the law school. He didn't show up on my wedding day. I made this, and I knew it exactly. I will say it like this, like if I was like on a speech, this day, this year. And then I forgot that my dad was nice with me. My mom didn't want me to eat for some reason. I don't know why, maybe because we were too poor, but she said that you cannot eat more than 2 eggs in a week, hard-boiled eggs, and for real. And when I will go on Fridays to visit my family, my father, he will boil 8 eggs, and I will eat them like this. And so those things I do remember, or killing mosquitoes in the middle of the night, like those things, like I do remember, right? So it wasn't that bad. There were those occasions that my dad didn't know how to make it different. And that's important, because we judge our parents based on our own ego, right? Look, you didn't do this for me, and I wanted to make it different, because I knew that if you would have made it different, I will be more happy. But you really don't know. We really don't know. And you are making this issue out of something that it's a fantasy. We don't know what will happen to us if things were different. And the key is that when we avoid our parents, when we say, like, for example, me, a long time I was like, I'm not going to talk to my dad. I'm just going to talk to him. I was getting to that hole like deeper and deeper and deeper, because you cannot avoid, because actually you are 50% your father and 50% your mother. There's no other option. And maybe I don't look physically as my mother, but I'm 50% my mother, and I'm 50% my father. So I have 100%. And once I see my mother and my father, and I accept what happened, don't agree, but I accept what happened, I can take this 100% on me, on my whole being, and I can be more strong. And once I'm more strong, I can pass this to the future generations, or share it with my partner. And the thing is, like, raise up your hand if you think that you took 100% of the strength from your parents.
I don't know
And
if that's strength, but
the thing is, like, you have and this is a movement that you do. So you have your father here, really, all the time, here on your right side, on your back, and your mother here. And if I'm going to bring something, and if a person doesn't have his friends, I use these on my sessions. Jessica, you have seen them, but they look cute, but they are very powerful, okay? And there's something. To take the strength from my father, I have to see my father bigger than I am. I can't need to see my father, and I have to be able to honor him and honor my mother. And I have to be able to say this: you are perfect for me. And some people cannot say, like, I think that last year I was able to say it for my mom. But what happened if I see my father like this or my mother the same height? Or what about if for me, my father is this big? What am I gonna take? Right? What about if I see my mom like this big and my father this small? That's another thing. Because in the couple movement, they are supposed to be exactly the same height. There's no other option. If you want to succeed with your partner, they both need to be the same height. But if I see them different, I'm going to create an imbalance, right? And usually the imbalance that happen on your family, let's count from our generation, right? We are number one. So my parents are going to be the second, right? My grandparents are going to be the third one. Usually the symptoms are going to come on the third or the fourth generation. So you need to see back there to see what happened so we can balance and reestablish the good order. That's what we say. Another thing is that, and this is very important, at least for me, this is a way to say it's like you are holding into a dead body. And it sounds bad, but it's not that bad. It's like, for example, me. My whole life, I thought that we were 3 siblings, right? This is me in the middle. So we are 3 siblings, and my whole life, we are 3. But after a family session, constellation session, I realized that I had 2 more here before me. So it's not only that you take the strength from your parents, you take the strength and the energy from everyone who came before you, your older siblings, even if they are not siblings from the same parents. And it's gonna pull you. When you do the exercise on a session, you will feel your body that is gonna start pulling you to one side or to another side because someone is missing there. And the only thing that the person that you are not seeing what they need is that you look at them and say like, I see you. They need that recognition because everyone belongs, right? The other thing that happens sometimes is that our parents got divorced, let's say, and my father has a new couple and my mother has a new couple. These new couples, these new partners, this is the way to say it, but it's not like that much, but they need to honor the older couple. Because thanks to them, I'm here with you now. This is my father and my mother. And this is the new wife. This new wife needs to see this person here and say like, thank you. Because of you, I met this man. And now I have this family. Because of you. There is a case of someone, a person, a man. He was always angry, very angry. And every time that he will have a couple, he will get more angry. He didn't understand. It was like he was triggered by that. And what happened was that when his parents met, the father was engaged. And he cheated on the first girlfriend with the mom of this person. And she suffered a lot. And the boy was connecting to the suffering and the pain and the anger from the ex-girlfriend. And I did a workshop 2 weeks ago. I had 12 people. 9 of the 12 people, because we did my partner. 9 out of the 12 people, they were connecting somehow to ex-partners of their parents, from their parents. And maybe you don't know their names. Maybe you don't know when this happened exactly, but if you do simple movements, you can create balance. The other thing is that when we have a partner, you have the chance every day to create this number 8. Have you seen the infinite sign? To create this infinite sign, because you are with someone because somehow you've been attracted to this person, or because you love this person. And on your soul, you have to trust to know that if I'm gonna give you 1 of love, I'm gonna receive 1 plus back. And when he gives me that 1 plus, he knows that I'm gonna give him 2. And it has to be that way, because once I stop doing this, if someone is giving too much in a relationship, it's because I think that I know better, and the other person is gonna getting a smaller, and then you won't have the chance to compensate that. So in the relationship, it has to be this perfect 8. I give you, and then I receive. And then I'm gonna ask you, when it's Christmas time, will you make a big list, wish list of the things that you want, or you won't make it? I won't make any list. Well, I don't like Christmas very much, but, or for my birthday, will you make a wish list? And that's one thing. When you say, and that's me, okay, that I'm still working on that. I like to receive presents, but actually not that much, right? Am I willing to receive, or am I shutting down that energy? You have to have the energy to receive. How do you want to receive love? If someone gives you a present or someone gives you something, you say like, oh, no, thank you, it's okay, I don't want it, right? And this is related to the way that you celebrate your birthday. Every time that you celebrate your birthday, do the best that you can, because you are celebrating your life. And that's the way that you took the strength to live from your mother. So if you don't celebrate your birthday and you are just, we get older and it's different. We are not gonna go, well, at least me, right? I'm getting older. I don't know you, how you feel, but I'm not gonna go to a party for 3 days, right? But at least you have to do something special, something that makes you feel special, because that's the day that you were alive. I have someone who never wanted to celebrate his birthday. Never. It was like, it wasn't a good day. And this person was connecting 2 generations up above to a suicide. How this person couldn't connect, couldn't celebrate life. No strength, 0 strength. The other way is to see those things, these imbalances, is that the opposite. When it's Christmas or when it's someone's birthday, if you buy tons of presents, too many presents, will you buy too many presents? It's too much, right? And you don't want to, but the other person is going to stay this small, because it won't be able to compensate that much. So we have to find the perfect balance. At least for me, it's like, in the case of a present, it's just 1, 2 presents. I think that is enough. But also in life, right? If someone is telling you, at least if you say like, oh, I'm going to give you a massage gift card, and I'm going to give you this book, and I'm going to give you this other thing and this other thing, sometimes you feel overwhelmed, like this is too much for me. How am I gonna come back to this? But for example, for me, it's hard. Some people, they want to tip me after a session, right? And I really want to get a tip. But I have realized, well, but sometimes I realize that I say like, no, why did you do that? No, it's okay. But now I'm saying, okay, thank you, right? Because I want to be open to receive. Now, I wanna ask you if we can do one exercise. You need to visualize with this exercise. And you can close your eyes or you can keep them open. It's up to you. But you are going to imagine that there is a string. I like to imagine that it's a golden string or a purple string, okay? And it's going through your crown from the top of your head, and it's going to start spiraling around the top of your head. It's making circles and circles and circles. What I want you to find, this string is going to start coming down and scanning your whole body. But there is going to be a place in your body where it won't be able to keep going. It's going to get stuck. So we are going to begin from the top of your head, and the string is going to be moving around your forehead, around your eyes, around your ears, your nose, your jaw, your mouth. It's going to go down to your throat. If you feel at this moment that it's stuck at one point, your string, just keep it there. So I'm going to keep going. It's going to go down your throat. It's going to go down your shoulders and your upper chest. It's going to go down to your heart, between your ribs, through your stomach, through your pelvis area, your hips, down through your legs. Now it's getting closer to your knees, down your legs, and now down to your feet. So now you can open your eyes when you are ready and tell me, where did the string stop? Gordon, you want to share?
Sure. Stopped right at my heart.
Jessica.
It lost color around my heart and stopped at my hip.
Okay. And Felicia?
Around the chest area. The chest area definitely like slowed right down.
So there are three places usually where it's going to stop. It usually is going to stop here on your heart or in the stomach area. And those three places are going to tell you that it stopped because there is a stagnation of energy coming from the ancestors. So the ancestors are going to give you three places. That is the throat, the heart, and the stomach. Usually the heart is going to be related to grandparents. Usually your stomach is going to be related to great-grandparents, usually, okay? And your throat is going to be related to your parents. Now, there are these links that are free that I think that if you have the names, even the last names, if you have even the last names of your family members that they passed, you can find information. One is findagrave.com, and it sounds a little bit weird, but you can see the graves and you can see the dates. I will recommend that you start doing this type of search because you will find out some stuff that is amazing. You will find out some connections. Then the other one is familysearch.com, where you, even me that I'm from South America, I have found information from my great-grandparents. So if you live in the United States or you are from Europe and the United States, that is like first world countries, I think that you will find more information. I want to keep going with this because trauma is related to past experiences, right? So where you located usually on your chest, on your stomach area, where your string stop, is usually because you have storage some trap emotions. There are some trap emotions that are there. And what you want is you want to integrate your energy and put it back there, right? I will share some links later if Jessica allows me. Some movements that you can do to try to integrate. Your hips are very important because have you ever heard about the TRE? So the TRE are some movements that you do on your muscles for 10 minutes. And once you lay down on the floor, your legs are going to start shaking, releasing. Gordon, you are asking for the other family side?
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought maybe one of the other participants would see that and
I'm going
reply.
to give you, the first one is findagrave.com and the other one is family search.
Ah, thank you.
So these movements, we usually say that on your hips is where you storage the most traumatic events. So once you do this series of 6 or 7 exercises, your legs are going to start shaking, but they are going to start shaking out of your hips. So you are going to be releasing traumatic events, yours from your present life or from your ancestors. And I think that this is something that is very good to do. Like even I have tried with I try to do it with my husband and my daughter, and she's 8. And even I've seen my daughter shaking her legs a little bit. There is always a chance to release, right? Does someone up until here, like does someone has any questions?
I don't
No
have a
question.
question, but I just want to comment on something because when you were talking earlier about dates, and I feel like we might have discussed this when we did our session, but I just want to like put it out there again. I'm so interested to see how like astrology overlays with some of the stuff that you do. So like I'm going to give just an example from my own life. So my mother and my father got married on September 4th, 1977. They were already pregnant with me. I was born February of 1978. My mom died on September 4th, 2018. So she died on the exact same day that she and my father married, which I always thought was like, okay, that's a coincidence. And it never dawned on me until a year, maybe 2 years ago, to look astrologically at what's going on around that day. And as it turns out, the sun is passing through the 10th and 11th degree of Virgo on that day every single year. And I'm an 11-degree Virgo rising in my chart. So my mother and father got married when the sun was at 11 degrees of Virgo. My mother died when the sun was at 11 degrees of Virgo. And I, their first child that they were pregnant with when they got married, was born with 11 degrees of Virgo rising over the horizon at the time, like at the time of my birth, right? Now, these aren't things that you would ever think to really look for until you know, like you have a tool like astrology to be able to tie this kind of stuff together. But I'm willing to bet that if you and I sat down with some of the information that you pulled, we'd be able to see that, you know, like to actually piece that fabric together, I guess. I don't know how else to put it, but I mean, I definitely believe in that, in those types of connections, right? Those energetic connections, and astrology is really good at like showing you like on paper, like where they actually exist.
I've seen you are the queen of astrology, but I have your book, so I know all of about your book. But I've seen that people, they do astrology and family constellations.
Really?
But that's in Uruguay, Argentina. I've seen that, but there is something that I'll do. I'm gonna show you. So what I'll do is I use the major arcana.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't use it to predict the future, right? You use the major arcana because this is like, I love it because I have 3 decks, right? And I use the same major arcana. So let's say that Gordon said, I said like, pull a card for you. And it comes, I don't know, let's say the magician, right? Yeah, comes the magician. And I use another deck, and her mom comes with the star. And we grab one for the grandfather, it's gonna come the magician again. And then you go like 3 or 4 generations, and you will see that what happened exactly on this side is gonna happen on this side. The same cards.
Yeah.
You have 22 cards to pull.
Yeah.
You are gonna repeat the same, right?
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. And you know what? I think that with anything, right? You have more information, and you make your plan, right? How am I gonna release this? How am I gonna balance this? Because the information is gonna empower you to see stuff. And what I wanted to say here is that there are things that are out of our control, of our this earthly experience control that we want to have all the time, because I want to know everything, I want to do everything, and I want to have my schedule and everything like that, right? And if I think about this, for example, the astrology connections that you were seeing, or the tarot connections, or the dates, and I understand that my dad came with this influence, right? Any influence that he had, that was his influence. So what he did during my childhood, it was the best that he could do. Am I going to still judging him?
Yeah.
So if I know that I'm going to ask you, Jessica, can you carry 100 kilograms of potatoes on your back and come from Waltham to Millbury to Worcester walking? And I know that you are carrying so much, and you are like, and it's been like 24 hours and you are still walking with that. Am I going to judge you because you didn't make it in 2 hours? No, right?
Better
and
not.
Exercise that I think that I have done it with you, Jessica, that is like, and it's going to sound, I don't know. If you want to do it, it's up to you. You are open. Suck your thumb. If you suck your, if you suck your thumb, and you can do it by yourself, but just close your eyes for a little bit and see how you feel. And you know why? Because sucking your thumb is going to give you information about how you connected to nourishment, to life, and to your mother. Some people will start gagging if I do a word like this. And usually these people, and when you do ancestral healing, you don't work specifically on your relationships. Because maybe I didn't get along. I don't like that my mom is so Catholic and she wants to pray all day long. But I'm working on the bond. That's what is important, the bond, because the bond is gonna be there forever, right? So this is a good thing to do. And I know that it sounds a little bit weird, but the sucking your thumb, if you do it one day and take notes, how am I feeling now? And how am I feeling when I'm doing the sucking my thumb, right? And sometimes you do these movements because everything begins, we are not doing anything that is new. All of us, we are repeating some type of patterns. We have influences, right? We didn't come without anything on our back. Like we have the stuff that we've been carrying over and over and over, intergenerational. But if I see that backpack that I have on my back, and then I see, okay, I'm going to organize this. This is coming from my grandparents. This is coming from my great-grandparents. This is from my own life experience. And you do some type of organization. I feel that that's the best way to do this approach, like to succeed and feel that your shoulders are not carrying so much, because your shoulders now are up. And once you do usually a movement or a session or some type of ancestral healing, you're going to feel a little bit weightless. right? And when you work from my position, is that piece on the puzzle that it needs to be adjusted, but my piece is going to affect every single member in that puzzle for the past and for the future, right? So somehow they are going to feel relief, and somehow the future generations are going to have less weight to carry. There is something that we need to understand also, is that since we are all here now at this moment, that is 11:49, because we come from two parents, right? Even if it was one night, we are here because of two parents, and we need to see them. And we need to see them and we need to accept their fate, because of them, I received the best, and the best is my life. If I didn't have this life, I couldn't be talking here. And if my mom was a drug addict and my dad was all day, he wasn't available, let's say, for me, the way that I wanted. First, that was in the past. And second, if I don't judge these two and I take them the way that it was, like, I cannot change the past. I can make a better present, but I cannot change my past. I'm going to feel better. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to do better. And to take them, we can do this, and I'm going to share them with you, and I would like for you to close your eyes if you want. And you can visualize even if you want. Dear mom and dad, from this moment, I will be completely happy, and I will succeed at whatever I undertake, and each time I enjoy a moment of happiness and success, I will remember you and enjoy it in your honor. When I have a little success, I will also share it with you and enjoy it thanks to you. Now you can open your eyes. There is always that I always do. I receive my money with the right hand, and I give my money with the left hand. Because the money that I receive is connected to my father, and the money that I give is connected to my mother. And there is a phrase, every time that you have any type of success, you succeed in life, is connected to both of your parents. Without them, you won't get money, you won't get anything. So if I know now that I have this life and I can provide for myself with it on this life that I'm having now, why I cannot be grateful every time that I receive money or I receive something to my parents? What is preventing you to have that sensation? And if you think about will be preventing you, is something that you think that they did wrong. Oh, I don't want to think about my mom when I receive $100 because she is so annoying sometimes. You are judging. And I'm not telling you that I don't judge my parents sometimes. Like, actually, 2 days ago, I called my mom to say hi. She lives in Peru. And the first thing I did a video call, she's like, God bless you because you don't go to church. And I was like, I was judging my mom about something that she believes, right? She wants me to be a nun. Up until now, I think that that's her dream. But I am not a nun, and that's the daughter that she has now, right? But I'm not gonna judge her. Like I will say, like, Mom, there's no connection. Ooh, it's blurry. My mom, right? I'm not gonna judge, but I'm gonna somehow I'm gonna escape that situation. But I don't judge her because she loves that. There is an exercise that I think that it's interesting to, if you write down now, when we finish this conversation, if you write down like, what is my issue now? What was my issue when I was 10 years old? And what I think that it will be my issue when I'm 75. Somehow you will find the same words or the same emotions there. So you will see that that's your pattern, a pattern that you have created. And there is always the chance to break the pattern, to make your life better, and to don't put extra weight and pass it along to someone else. That could be your partner or your kids or someone else, even your pets. And if you have been having any type of physical issues, also pay attention. When do you think that they started? What were you doing? What were you doing? Were you working? Your parents just got divorced? What was the situation? And all the things are going to give you information, and you can put the dots together to see you can get more information to feel better. So does someone have any questions? Did I talk too much?
No, it's perfect.
Felicia, Gordon, I don't know if someone else, like, no?
I'm curious. If someone does clearing work so as not to pass things on to future generations, I can see where if they do that clearing work before they have their children, that those issues won't get passed along. But what happens if you do that clearing work after you've had your children? Do they still get the future benefit of the work that you've done?
Yes, they do. Actually,
And how does that happen?
The first thing that I will say is like, you always try to do your best, right? The second thing is that every single person comes with a stamp, right? I have my stamp here. This is the weight that I'm gonna carry. But over the time, me, myself, for example, I do a lot of ancestral healing to remove all patterns and beliefs from myself so I don't project them on my daughter, right? But I cannot do the work for her because she already is going to create her own. She already, now that she's 8, she already has her pattern. She has already, because that's what we do to survive, right? But if every single day I try to release something from me, and because we are still sharing the same energetic field, it's going to be less weight on her.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to tell you personally, and I wish that my pregnancy was okay. I didn't have any problems during my pregnancy, but I was under a lot of stress, too much stress because of my job back in Peru. I wish that would have different, but I cannot do anything now, right? So there is always a chance to move those pieces and make put less weight on them. It's not only because of the conception, and yes, the impact is the conception, the pregnancy, and the early childhood, but you always have the chance. I have this woman from Portugal. And the daughter was like, she was doing sports, perfect, right? So the daughter, when she was 15, she went to a softball game and she got a seizure. And since then, she was having seizures and seizures over and over every 2 weeks. And so I asked the woman, because we did some movements and I saw something on her maternal lineage. And she was like, no, we don't have anything. Well, her brother was killed. And somehow this daughter was connecting to this brother with her uncle, right? And now the daughter was 36 years old. Well, the daughter now, she is being 6 months and she doesn't have any seizure. You still always have the chance to make it, to release. There is always the chance.
Interesting. So the work that I've done has potentially positive implications for my children by virtue of the fact that I have some ongoing energetic influence in their lives.
And we always gonna have influence on our kids, right? Or even on our partners or with our parents. But the thing is this, because they are younger, in the case of our kids, I will never say, I'll do this for you. I'll do this for me. And because I'm feeling better, the reflection is gonna be that you are gonna feel better, but I'll do the work for me. I don't put that weight on you. That's the way that I will do it.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no more questions,
I have a question for Jessica, if that's okay.
Sure.
Jessica, you made reference to 3 events in your life that all happened at 11 degrees of Virgo, I believe it was.
Yep.
What are the implications of those 3 events happening all at that point in the sky?
I mean, if I ever figure out the answer to that, I will certainly, put you on the top of the list of it's really, it was stunning to kind of make that connection. But then it's like, obviously there's some significance there. Now, I think I say this all the time. I don't believe in coincidence, and I sure as hell don't believe in coincidences like that, right? Like that's
exactly.
Just, that's kind of too much. What does it mean? Well, I mean, I guess for lack of at the risk of sounding trite, it means 11 degrees of Virgo is freaking important, at least in terms of the connection between my parents, right? And so then it becomes, how far do I want to dig into that particular degree? I mean, and the answer is I would love to dig very far into that particular degree. The problem is that, from an informational standpoint, there isn't a lot for me to look at, right? Like, it's not like I can just Google, like, what's important about the 11th degree of Virgo. And I'm sure I'll come up with a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know how much of it will actually hit. I did at one point look at the Sabian symbol, and I can't remember it now. It's totally escaping me. And are you familiar with the Sabian symbols?
I am.
Okay. Yeah.
From the new moon work that we did.
Right. Okay. Yes.
Right.
So I'm a huge fan of the Sabian symbols. I don't know why, but they've always just really resonated with me, and I don't talk about them very much, and I haven't done nearly as much work with them as I probably should. But I do have a few books on the Sabian symbols, and I do remember spending a little bit of time with that. My parents had an extremely tortured relationship. They basically only got married because they were pregnant with me, and only because my mother had aborted 6 months prior a pregnancy that they had accidentally, and then she didn't want to do that again. So it kind of set this chain of events in motion that ended up in there getting married, falling into mutual cocaine addiction, and then hell broke loose, right, for my entire family. Yeah, right.
Oh.
Which ultimately culminated in my father dying of an overdose when I was 28, and my mom dying of an overdose when I was 39 or 40.
Oh.
Right.
Do me
So
a
it's like,
favor, don't do that.
Yeah, no, so I'm, I've celebrated 4 years clean and sober in May. And so, I am working very hard not to do that. And wait, I'm just thinking, are May and September opposite?
5 and 9.
No, they're not. No. Okay, wait, no, math is not a strong suit. Sorry. But yeah, so anyway, it's kind of like this idea of like, obviously there's some, I owe my life essentially to that degree, right? Like that's, if you believe in astrology the way I believe, that my soul traveled through that particular degree to get here. The sun, which is the major energetic source of, all life on earth, was on that degree when my parents married, and then when my mother, departed. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it feels like a source point for me. And I guess it's about reverse engineering at this point,
Sure.
There is something that related to that, the dates that is called the anniversary dates. So for example, I had my niece, and since 2020, the same date every year, September 19th, she gets some type of blood clot.
Really? That's interesting.
The same day.
So, yeah.
But the same day is my grandfather's birthday. It was my grandfather. So, and then you link. So I think that this astrology gives you information, but also the dates are very important, and the names. And then you have all this information. Then you are like, wow. So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny too, because when you were talking about the names, I remember too, there was a story that went around for a long time where, and I will always thank the Allman Brothers for this assist. My parents were going to name me Victoria Jean because my father's middle name was Victor and my mother's middle name was Jean. And they thought it was fucking adorable. They were going to call me Vicky Jean, right? Can you imagine me as Vicky Jean? And then what happened was my father was a huge classic rock fan, although I guess it wasn't really classic when he was alive. It was actually just contemporary rock at the time. And the song Jessica by the Allman Brothers was very, very popular on the radio in 1977 and then in 1978. And so as the story goes, they were basically in my, I don't know why this person is trying to get in here right now. They were in the delivery room basically. And my dad was like, I want to change the name to Jessica. And my mother like lost her mind. But then ultimately, like after I was born and things had settled down a little bit, she acquiesced and they named me Jessica. So,
Very cool.
yeah, I can't even imagine. Well, because like now, I mean, first and foremost, I would have hated having the name Vicky Jean. That's just terrible. But also I wonder, like, because of the name connection, like, would I have been even more traumatized? Like if they had given me their names, like on top of all of the other energetic bullshit that they transferred to me.
Jean astrologist.
Right? See it? No. No way. No way. So yeah. No, it's fascinating. Alida, like, thank you so very much.
Thank you all of you. Nice to meet you.
I really appreciate everything that you're doing. I'm a huge fan of you over here. And for those of you who don't know, Alida and her husband run one of our ministries, one of the Fifth Element sub ministries, the ayahuasca ministry. And they are, they're doing great things kind of like literally all over the world for plant medicine. And she and her husband run I always call it like a retreat center, but it feels like it's bigger than that. They have a whole,
we have a retreat center, and we do also investigation. So we are on the third stage with a program in UK with veterans for PTSD, and we've been doing this since 2009 officially, but before that.
Yeah. So, I mean, the family constellation work is obviously very important, but just to give you guys like some perspective on just what a big deal Alida is, because she really, she and her husband, Carlos, have brought a lot of really, really good information forth into the collective. And also, so we're super, super honored to have them as part of our crew. And if you guys are ever looking for an ayahuasca retreat down in Peru, we can hook you up and send you straight to the source. So, don't be afraid to reach out, because we're all like, well, all of us over here at Fifth Element are like, one of these days, like we're gonna all get together, we're gonna go down there, and it's gonna just be awesome. So you know, keep an eye out.
Thank you.
Are you allowed to do ayahuasca, Jessica?
Actually, well, am I allowed? That's a great question. So there is a pretty not insignificant faction of people in AA who do believe in the use of psychedelics, specifically for, I'm not sure if ayahuasca is characterized as a psychedelic, I think it is, but specifically to jumpstart or to continue with the spiritual awakening that is necessary to bring people out of alcoholism and addiction. The program of AA is a spiritually based program, and it is very much based on the idea that you have failed to maintain a fit spiritual condition, which is why you are now being basically consumed by the demon alcohol. So there are Bill W., like all the founders of AA, were kind of quietly into mushrooms.
Just to point out, like, we don't do ayahuasca ceremonies here.
Not in the United States. No.
We don't do ayahuasca ceremonies in the United States. We do it in Peru. In Peru, we have a non-profit based in Peru. So we are in a national reserve. And here we have the ayahuasca ministry, just trying to promote the indigenous communities and their traditions, but we haven't done any, and we are not planning to do any ayahuasca ceremonies.
Right. Yeah, no, it's more about like research and yeah. So I will see. I would make an exception probably for Alida. So
let me know if you're going to do that, and I will join you.
Oh, absolutely. We will. I mean, if we actually manage to get it together, we will make it a Fifth Element wide event for sure.
We haven't been able to do a local one yet.
I know. Trust me, Gordon. Listen, we've had like so many things like, we're going to do this. And then it's just, oh God. We're getting there though. We will, because we definitely want to start connecting more in person with people. So, I promise it will happen. We will gather.
I have no doubt.
Right. All right, friends, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Alida, thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It was wonderful to see all of you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Saturday.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.